It's a beautiful Monday morning in the city of Lagos, Southwest Nigeria. My name is Dabola Ogunshaki, and this morning I'm starting with Vanguard on the paper review. Vanguard is leading with global trade war. Naira value depreciates amid forex outflows. CBN intervenes with $500 million as Naira depreciates to 1,600 Naira per dollar. Currency dealers lament dollar scarcity, project further Naira depreciation. Banks not selling dollars to us, that's coming from BDC operators, seek CBN's intervention. You can see that story on page 19. On page 10, abductors of Ondo businessman, wife, daughter demand 30 million naira ransom. We won't follow RFI to SDP, that's coming from Lamido. On page 10, we have Sarah Sue's Akpabio over Senator Akpotudohan's suspension. Rivers government assembly in war of words over budget presentation. Fubara frustrating implementation of Supreme Court judgment that's coming from Rivers Assembly. UBA and ICANN partner to drive an intervention in finance accounting. You can see that on page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Now let's move to the Guardian. The Guardian is leading with worries over sharp practices, abuse of free trade zones regulation. You can see that on page 6. Still on page 6, 2027, WK others affirm support for Tinubu's second term amid growing opposition. Wike is a toxic politics threat to your re-election bid. Niger Delta youth tells Tinubu. Assembly queries Fubara's sincerity on budget presentation. NAFDAC seizes over 100 truckloads of unsafe drugs and narcotics. You can see that on page 7. Ogun launches new initiative to curb maternal newborn mortality. Army attacks echo disco over power outrage that can be seen on pages 5 and 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And lastly, we have MPA's 15% hike pushes Burton charges to $200,000. Now, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. Punch leading story this morning says our subsidy remover tension was the Nigeria's full scarcity. Few marketers decry closure of stations at border towns. Citizens demand more Nigerian goods. You can see that on page 36. And on pages 4 and 5, Asake ready to buy me house, says father. Baby mama alleges neglect. Governors lobby Tinubu to block local government direct payment. You can see that on page 2. And lastly, on the Punch newspaper, budget letter, Rivers Assembly diva. Fubara urges the House to reconvene. You can see that on page 44. And let's take a look at the nation. The nation this morning story says Lamido Erify driven by emotion. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies. Join us after the break for a brief analysis of some of the stories. Welcome back. If you're just joining me, this is Today the News on Vanguard Life. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki, and joining me to analyze some of the stories on the front pages this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed. He's the CEO of Magnus Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Damola. How are you?
Very fine, thank you. Now let's talk about Naira depreciation this morning. Now, the uncertainty caused by the ongoing tariff war between the United States and some countries that have triggered the exit of foreign exchange outflow from Nigeria, prompting a 2 week depreciation of the Naira. And this prompted CBN to intervene in the forex market last week, selling up to $500 million to boost supply. However, the Naira still depreciated week on week. And many of the people now are complaining that there's no dollars in the market. What do you think about this, and why do you think the CBN's $500 million intervention failed to, to stabilize the naira?
Well, the truth of the matter is that in Nigeria, our currency is Naira. But both at the government and private level, a lot of the budget and economic predictions that we do is based on dollars. Once you have an economy that is rooted in a foreign currency, this is the kind of crisis you have when there are things that affects the stability of that foreign currency that you rely on as a nation. We've been shouting this over the years that our projections, developmental projections, and other projections should not be based on the dollar. Even our budget, they will tell you that the budget for this year is 200 trillion naira, but the dollar version of it will also be given to you. And when you have a slight crisis with that foreign currency that you relied on so much for the execution of your national budget, you have this kind of crisis. Ordinarily, if Naira itself, that we've been working on in the last few months to stabilize, became a little stable at a point, and there is a problem in other countries that is not supposed to be our problems, but that problem is affecting the dollar. We are suffering from the spiral effect of relying on the dollars for our economic activities in this country. The earlier we check that, the better for us. There are countries who used to rely on dollars, and they have worked so hard to ensure that the currencies that they have in those countries are as strong as the dollar. That is what I expect us to do in this country. People keep talking about stability in the economy. Where is the stability today? Just a crisis in other parts of the world is affecting the stability of our currency. So we have to sit down and come up with strong economic plans that will extricate us from the effects of a crisis that is happening far away from us, but it's having a spiral effect on our economic plans and policies. So the earlier we start depending on our currency, the earlier we work on the strength of our currencies against other currencies in Africa and other parts of the world, the better for us as a nation. There must not be a crisis in other parts of the world, and Nigeria is suffering from it. That means we are not yet a full country economically. We should grow to become a full country politically and economically. And then you can stand as a country, you can withstand any crisis across the world. God forbid, if there is a long time crisis in other parts of the world, so we continue to have increase in the exchange rate of Naira to dollar. So at the end of the day, Naira can exchange for 2,500 to $1. I pray it doesn't happen. We are in an economic crisis in this country. I don't think some of our leaders realize the fact that we have a major economic crisis in our country. A country where you don't have stability of prices. You buy something today, tomorrow the price has gone up. People keep talking about the cost of rice coming down. Where is it coming down? Those who are saying that the cost of food is dropping, do they go to the market to buy food themselves, or somebody somewhere is deceiving us? Go out there and check the prices of food. Body will stop. People should stop coming up with different lies that the prices of goods are coming down. At where? Go to the markets and find out yourself. So we should stop deceiving ourselves in this country. We must face the reality of the fact that our economy cannot be stable for as long as we continue to base our projections economically on the dollar.
But sir, can we? Is there a way Nigeria can benefit in from the ongoing tariff war among United States and other countries? For example, positioning itself as an alternative market for the affected goods.
Yes, we can benefit if we, just like you said, let me use your words, if we position ourselves as an alternative economy. But can we do that? How well are we doing that? Like I said, most of the economic activities that are going on in Nigeria are defined in dollars instead of naira and kobo that we are supposed to use as the yardstick to determine what we are going to do at the federal level and in fact at some state levels. People talk about dollar. You can hardly see government officials going about with naira in their pocket. A lot of them goes around the country with dollars in their pockets because they believe that if you have $5,000 in your wallet, nobody will know. But if you change $5,000 to naira, you have a big load on your hand to carry. So it is much more convenient for them to go about with dollars. And this thing is affecting the economy of this country. Because once there is a problem in any part of the world, Nigeria is feeling the effects. The exchange rate of naira to a dollar will rise, will shoot up. We should rise above that kind of crisis each time there is a problem in any part of the world and naira will drop. I want us to get a situation where we stop hearing this kind of news that there's a crisis in countries far away and it is affecting the exchange rate. And Nigeria will now be panicking. How do we stabilize the naira? The naira should be stable if we appreciate the fact that the naira is truly our means of exchange and we give a lot of respect to the naira. Go and check it out. A lot of government officials don't go about spending naira, they go with dollars. If I had an exchange with somebody, they were going to do a contract and they said, how much is the contract? So somebody answered, telling the person it's so much million of million naira. Said, can you how much is it in dollars? Hmm. That is the extent to which government officials go to place more importance on the dollar than the local currency that we have. So the earlier we respect our currency, the better for us as a nation.
All right, the government, the CBN, they pumped $500 million into the economy, but it didn't work. So, what alternative strategies do you think a CBN should consider beyond the forex intervention?
See, if you pump $1 billion into the economy, it won't work because you have hawks who can purchase the entire dollar that you are pumping into the economy to create disorganization in the economy because they are making money by ensuring that the naira doesn't come down. There are some people in Nigeria who makes a lot of money from the increase in the exchange rates. That is their own way of making money. They will wake up, open their computer, look at the exchange rate and predict and in fact pump dollars into the economy so that the exchange rate will go up. That is how some people make money in this country. It is not you and I that are engaged in those things, but those who are in government. Go and check it out now. That is the problem we are having. We are killing this nation by ourselves. Because if the dollars doesn't go up, some people won't become billionaires. That is the truth of the matter. Go and do that investigation. Some people will not become. There are some people who don't have naira accounts. All they do is to monitor the exchange rate. When it is coming down, we find a way of ensuring that it goes up again. But if it is coming down, they are losing money in dollars. But if it is going up, they are making a lot of money. So we must start with ensuring that the interest of the nation becomes a top priority in our plans. For as long as we continue to rely on the dollars as our means of doing business, even though the nation's main currency is the naira, we'll continue to have problems with the dollars. What is if we really face the fact that our currency is naira, why would the rise and fall of dollar have any effect? You just said it now. CBN itself pumped out how much dollars?
They sold $500 million.
Why? So that means government itself is making money from dollars.
All right, Mr. Ali, let's move away from that and move over to Port Harcourt. So, River State government and the State House of Assembly, they were yesterday locked in a war of words over implementation of the Supreme Court judgment, especially as it concerns the presentation of the 2025 budget. What do you think about this?
You see, the problem in River State is gone beyond a court ruling, a Supreme Court ruling. You have a godfather who sponsored the election of his godson by name Fubara. The godfather is Wike, and he believes that Fubara has been elected as governor. Before the man left the stadium where he was sworn in, they have appointed all the key officers that will run the government with him. They just gave him the list. And this guy felt, look, you have helped me, yes. I am not free. He was being nice. Yeah, because that's the way I will see this crisis in River State. Because he didn't know Wike enough to know that the gift Wike gave him is nothing but a Greek gift. That is a governorship. And that is the cause of the crisis that we are having in River State today. Somebody somewhere wants to be in charge of governance, not minding whether that state have an elected governor or not. So you can see why we have a problem in River State. The problem in River State is beyond the court, is beyond the court judgment. But the fact that we need to find a solution to that problem today so that we won't have a problem on our hands in the coming days ahead. I expect the president to call the two political gladiators involved in the River State problem to a meeting and give specific instruction. Otherwise, in the coming days, there might be a declaration of state of emergency in River State if we are not careful. I am saying it today with all the emphasis at my command because I can see trouble in River State. When you have a man who is minister in the federal government but also want to be the governor of River State, greed to me should have some limitations. Fubara is governor of River State. Why don't you leave him to govern?
Do you think this will cause a crisis in the state? Because right now, the Niger Delta Militant Group, they issued a fresh threat to blow up pipelines over a recent Supreme Court judgment.
And did you listen to the reaction of this, the nauseating reaction of Wike to the threat by the Niger Delta boys to blow up the pipeline? He said they don't have the monopoly of blowing up the pipeline, that anybody can blow up the pipeline. What kind of a person will see that minister of the Federal Republic showing nonchalant attitude to a threat to blow pipelines? What kind of thing are we looking at in this country? We have a president in office. Mr. President should do the needful by intervening in the crisis in River State. A stitch in time saves 9, because we are looking at it like a child's play, but it will snowball to what we consume that part of the country if care is not taken. The way things are going, the way Wike is boasting, and the way the Niger Delta militants are boasting, they have all the wherewithal they need to do what they are saying. But Wike is just one man threatening everybody, and somebody somewhere should be able to sit him down and tell him the implications of his action. You can't be minister and be governor at the same time. That is the truth of the matter. We must face the truth. Wike cannot be minister and want to be governor at the same time. He's in Abuja. The seat of government of Rivers State is in Port Harcourt. How does he want to manage the administration of these two offices? That to me is greed. He should allow Fubara to be, for God's sake. That is my opinion on this.
All right, let's move away from that and talk about an NYSC core member who released a video calling President Tinubu terrible, and some time later she released another video explaining that she has been receiving calls from various NYSC officials telling her to stop insulting the government and remove the video.
The young lady forgot that is a government pikin. As a copper is a government pikin, and she thinks she's exercising fundamental human rights, which, if you look at it from a critical angle, is free to vent his opinion on issues. But she's a youth copper, and a youth copper is a government pikin, like we used to call ourselves in those days, as youth coppers who believed that we were we were above the law in those days. Once you wear that uniform, there is nothing you cannot do. But today, she can't afford to take the risk of criticizing the sitting government. So I want to advise her to check her speeches, the way she expresses her opinion, because she's a youth copper who is being fed and taken care of by the government. And the likelihood of our actions having a spiral effect on the activities of the National Youth Corps itself is there. So she should take things easy. I appreciate the fact that she's trying to express her fundamental rights to comment and talk about current issues, but there must be a limit to that for as long as she is a copper. That fact that she is a copper means that she has to be very, very careful with what she's saying. After her NYSC becomes a full-fledged citizen of Nigeria by way of not being under any government organization, she can fully express herself. But right now, she has to take it easy. She's serving under the NYSC program, and her actions and activities are subject to the control of the NYSC. So she should be careful.
All right. Quickly before we end it, talk about Mr. and Mrs. A story, trended over the weekend, and popular Nigerian musician Asake, he came under fire as Nigerians, netizens, and residents in the Asake area of Lagos. They expressed disappointment over the artist's perceived neglect of his ailing father. Though recently came out and the father said he has agreed to buy him house and cars and everything. That's after they dragged him on social media and Nigerians. And what do you think about
But
this?
did you read the reaction of Asake to the allegations that he bought him a car, bought him a house, he sold the house? If that is true, then I think the man should sit down and have a rethink about his own life, whether he wants comfort or not. You can't continue to live the life of an Isaleko man and come out to drag your son. Yes, the guy is rich. It doesn't mean that as a father you have to be reckless financially. Even if you have such a problem, must you make it a public matter? That means you want to do things that can damage the image and reputation of your son. That is my own attitude to this thing. There are family ways of solving problems like that. Call the elders of the family. If truly you have been neglected, no child can be bigger than his parents or his family. Call a family meeting, sit down. Not that you come out and embarrass the young man. Do you know that what he has done can affect the young man negatively? Some people may see him as you abandoned your father and you are a millionaire. Next time they have a show, they can be advised not to involve him. Can have a negative effect on him. You see, this attitude of family members thinking that once I'm suffering from this kind of things, people will sit down and simply assume that I have big money somewhere. I got a text 2 weeks ago. Somebody saying I should send him 1 million. You are laughing. Send me 1 million. I simply read the text and deleted it because I didn't want to be looking at it and get angry. I didn't want that. Sat down and says, please, I need 1 million. He is an elder brother of mine. 1 million. In this economy, there is a man that won't bother to ask whether I'm okay, whether my children are fine. He just woke up one morning and said, send me 1 million naira. That is the kind of problems we have with families in Nigeria. You don't even know whether the work I'm doing, whether it's going on fine or not. This person has not spoken to me in the last 6 months. And you are saying, send me 1 million. That is the problem most celebrities go through in Nigeria. Me, I condemn that father. I will say that he's not a good father. If you can come out and deride your son in the media that way, I'm even surprised that the young man has come out to say that he will buy another car and another house for him. Shows that he's a good son. Some other children will not talk to him for years. He's lucky to have him as his son. But the man must be advised not to expose his children like that. Yoruba say, Bami no more me. If you ask people to breed your child for you, thinking that they will just use a small stick to beat him, they will use a wood to break his head and said, do you still have that child? No, you have finished him. That is a problem we have in this country.
All right, let's say this Elijah with Mr. Mrs. this morning. And the first person speaking is Mr. Mr. says, my mother has woken up before everybody in the house, cleaned everywhere, cooked breakfast, and fixed the laundry. That's village life for you. And Mrs. replied, oh, baby, let mama stay with us. So let mama stay with us so I can learn more about village life.
Yes. Village life is sweet. I've just, you see, in Nigeria, people believe that their parents should not call. No parent is praying to have children that will not be able to accommodate him or her in their homes. As a father, you look forward to visiting your children in future. But I want to also advise us as we grow old, don't leave the job you are doing. Don't leave it. Because if you depend too heavily on your children, look at Asake's father. We just talked about that. Because apparently he believed that my son is a multimillionaire. So he must give me maybe 200 million. Do you know what the boy is going through? Despite the multi-million naira that you think he have, you may just even be assuming that he has a multi-million, thinking that he doesn't have his own expenses also. So we must be careful the way we deal with our children. They are all Nigerians. If they live in Nigeria, then you have to be more careful because we are all facing major economic problems. No matter how rich you are today, you can't tell me that the volume of money that you made some 3-4 years ago is what you are still making now. Whoever has that kind of fortune, you have to sit that person down, find out how he has been managing his finances. He must be a genius.
All right, thank you for joining us this
You're
morning.
most welcome.
Yeah, so what to like and follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. You can also visit our website www.vanguardnigeria.com. My name is Damlo.